So in this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate how to download XAMPP, which is a web server. Now first, what is a web server? So think of a web server as going to a restaurant and ordering something off of the menu. So the waiter comes and takes your order, goes to the kitchen, and brings that order. So think of that restaurant as a web server, and then of course your instructions are to bring something for you, whether it is food or drink and so on. So similarly, a web server is nothing but fetches a set of pages for you when you ask for certain pages to be displayed. So the fundamental two elements that make up a web server is obviously the user and then the server that serves you web pages. A third element that makes up a web server is the database. In other words, the database is where your login, your passwords essentially are stored. So in a nutshell, a web server is something that hosts your websites and allows you to create and manage multiple web pages. Now there are various web servers out there, such as the Apache web server. There are other personal web servers out there. There are hundreds of them. And if you're familiar with hosting companies like GoDaddy or HostGator, for instance, they provide web servers where you can upload your websites once you create them. But in this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate how to create our own web server, how to download and configure your computer to become a web server. In other words, all of the development or the website development, for instance, you will be doing on your own computer, which will make your computer as a local web server or act as a local host among several free web servers. So let me in fact give you the definition of a web server. So I'm just going to go to Google and type web server, and it will give me a small description such as a web server is simply a computer system that processes requests via HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and that's the basic network protocol used to distribute information on the World Wide Web. So the term can refer either to the entire system or specifically to the software that accepts and supervises the HTTP requests. So in this lesson, we are going to create our own server so that we are able to host our own web pages locally on our computer. So let's go ahead. Let me search the web server. The one that we're going to use in this lesson is called XAMPP. So I'm going to use Google to just simply navigate to the XAMPP keyword, and my search results, notice, are displayed. I can download XAMPP from sourceforge.net, and there are other sites as well. But sourceforge.net, pretty reliable site, so we're going to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on XAMPP, and this brings us to the download page where I can download the XAMPP. So once again, the URL is sourceforge.net/projects/XAMPP, or simply go to Google, type in XAMPP, and it will take you to this page. Once you're on this page, you can download XAMPP for either Windows, Mac, Solaris, or Linux. So depending upon your own operating system, you can download XAMPP accordingly. Another thing I want to mention here before we actually begin our download is that it's an easy to install Apache distribution containing MySQL, PHP, and Perl, and other scripting languages as well. I can also go to the XAMPP website. So let me navigate there as well. Just simply right click, open a new window, just to show you the various XAMPP installers and download. So this web server called XAMPP will work with Apache, MariaDB, PHP, and Perl. It contains all of those, and you can download again from the XAMPP website or SourceForge. So there are multiple ways you can download this web server. And here is the version for Windows, for Linux, and for Macintosh. So it doesn't really make any difference where you download it from as long as you're downloading the correct version for the operating system that you have. And once again, if I read the description, XAMPP is a completely free, so there's no charge to downloading this software. Easy to install Apache distribution containing MariaDB, PHP, and Perl. The XAMPP open source package has been set up to be incredibly easy to install and to use. So let me go ahead and click on the XAMPP for Windows download, which is version 5.6.15. As soon as I click on it, the download will begin and automatically bring up my Windows Explorer, where I would have to save the XAMPP for Win32, the 5.6.15 version, and the installer package, which is the executable file, and the file extension is exe. So let me navigate to my downloads folder here, and under my documents, data files, and XAMPP. Notice at this point in this folder that I already created, there's nothing in it. So I'm simply going to save the installer file into this folder. So all I did was simply navigate to the folder where I wish to save the XAMPP software, and then I'm going to click save, and it's going to download the XAMPP for me. And notice on the bottom left, it shows me the download time as well as the size of the file. So it's about 109 megabytes. So it's going to take a little bit of time for it to download. But once it's downloaded, we can navigate back to our folder, the XAMPP folder, and then we can begin the installation process. So in this lesson, I simply wanted to highlight two important things. First, the concept of a web server, and secondly, downloading XAMPP on our computer so that we can make XAMPP and configure XAMPP as a web server. So I hope this helps. Practice downloading, and let's move to our next lesson.